Harlequin Special Release and HarlequinAudio present Long Tall Texans, Grant by Diana Palmer. Performed by Todd Mclaren. Dear listener, I can't believe that it has been 30 years since my first Long Tall Texans book, Calhoun, debuted. The series was suggested by my former editor, Tara Gavin, who asked if I might like to set stories in a fictional town of my own design. Would I? And the rest is history. As the years went by, I found more and more sexy ranchers and cowboys to add to the collection. My readers, especially Amy, found time to gift me with a notebook listing every single one of them. Wives and kids and connections to other families in my own Texas town of Jacobsville. Eventually, the town got a little too big for me, so I added another smaller town called Comanche Wells and began to fill it up, too. You can't imagine how much pleasure this series has given me. I continue to add to the population of Jacobs County, Texas, and I have no plans to stop. Ever. I hope all of you enjoy listening to the Long Tall Texans as much as I enjoy writing them. Thank you all for your kindness and loyalty and friendship. I am your biggest fan. Love, Diana Palmer. Chapter 1. The summer sun was rising. Judging by its place in the sky, Dana Mobry figured that it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. That meant she'd been in her present predicament for over 2 hours, and the day was growing hotter. She sighed with resigned misery as she glanced at her elevated right leg, where her jeans were hopelessly tangled in 2 loose strands of barbed wire. Her booted foot was enmeshed in the strands of barbed wire that made up the fence, and her left leg was wrapped in it because she'd twisted when she fell. She'd been trying to mend the barbed wire fence to keep cattle from getting out. She was using her father's tools to do it, but sadly, she didn't have his strength. At times like this, she missed him unbearably, and it was only a week since his funeral. She tugged at the neck of her short-sleeved cotton shirt and brushed strands of her damp blonde hair back into its neat French braid. Not so neat now, she thought, disheveled and unkempt from the fall that had landed her in this mess. Nearby, oblivious to her mistress's dilemma, her chestnut mare, Bess, grazed. Overhead, a hawk made graceful patterns against the cloudless sky. Far away could be heard the sound of traffic on the distant highway that led around Jacobsville to the small Texas ranch where Dana was tangled in the fence wire. Nobody knew where she was. She lived alone in a little ramshackle house that she'd shared with her father. They'd lost everything after her mother deserted them 7 years ago. After that terrible blow, her father, who was raised on a ranch, decided to come back and settle on the old family home place. There were no other relatives, unless you counted a cousin in Montana. Dana's father had stocked this place with a small herd of beef cattle and raised a truck garden. It was a meager living compared to the mansion near Dallas that her mother's wealth had maintained. When Carla Mobry had unexpectedly divorced her husband, he'd had to find a way of making a living for himself quickly. Dana had chosen to go with him to his boyhood home in Jacobsville, rather than endure her mother's indifferent presence. Now, her father was dead, and she had no one. She'd loved her father, and he'd loved her. They'd been happy together, even without a huge income. But the strain of hard physical labor on a heart that she had not even known was bad had been too much. He'd had a heart attack and died in his sleep. Dana had found him the next morning when she went into his room to call him to breakfast. Hank had come immediately at Dana's frantic phone call. It didn't occur to her that she should have called the ambulance first instead of their nearest and very antisocial neighbor. It was just that Hank was so capable. He always knew what.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?